And our final coach this morning is the head coach of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, Joe Moglia. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Mark.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
Going fine, thank you. Congratulations to the Chants with a 38-14 win over Gardner-Webb to move to 3-0 in the league, 9-0 overall. If you can open up, talk about the victory over the Running Bulldogs. We'll start taking questions and talk about Charlotte.
You know, I think I said this specifically to Carol myself, and I think he's doing a great job over Gardner-Webb. And they've got good facilities and they've got good athletes, but he's had a tough season in the sense that he's had a lot of guys banged up, a lot of people injured. When he's not able to hit your potential, of course, when all that's going on. They gave us a good game. We were able to move the ball on offense. We weren't able to score with our offense as often as we would have liked. Our special teams wound up doing a good job. They were effective moving the ball on us defensively. I think there was time in the third quarter where they kept stopping our offense, and we were fortunate enough to stop them from a defensive perspective. But they gave us a good game. It was a well-fought game. It was across the board. I think the game was closer than what the score indicates. But I think at the end of the day, he's playing a little bit, with a team that'll give you everything they got, but they're a little bit banged up.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. We'll start taking questions for Coastal Carolina head coach Joe Moglia. Please press star 1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand if you join us via the web. And while questions come in for you, Coach, talk about Charlotte, please.
I think as far as Charlotte, I think everybody's aware, they are an FBS program. They're in the middle of the transition there, so they don't quite have their 85 scholarships, but they've got 75, so that's about 19 to 20% more than what any of us have in the FCS. That's always an advantage. They're playing in their place. They've been sold out from the beginning of the season, so I'm told the standing room only. They're coming off a bye, so they've got a couple of guys banged up. They're going to be back and ready to play. And while they've struggled in the last 5 games, every one of those games was decided by a touchdown or less. They could have easily, I've looked at every one of those games, they could have literally easy won every one of those games. And it may sound a little crazy, but they could literally be undefeated now based on the film that I've watched. From an offensive perspective, their running back averages over 6 yards a carry. Their quarterback averages over 6 yards a carry. Plus he can throw the ball. And, he averages about 250 yards a game in the air. They have a handful of good receivers. Number 10 is probably their key guy. He's a little guy, but great hands, very, very quick, very, very fast. He's certainly a playmaker. From a defensive perspective, they're young. And because they're young, they make some inexperienced type mistakes. But they're athletic, they're physical, they move well, they get to the ball, they'll hit you. They don't hesitate to blitz about 25% of the time. From a kicking perspective, I think they're sound across the board. It'll give you a lot of different things that you got to prepare for, and they're specialists. Their return guys are good. Their specialists are good and effective. And again, they are creative, so it requires a lot of work to make sure you're getting ready for them. So we have no doubt, playing them at their place after a bye week, they're going to be quite ready for our game, and we got to make sure we're ready as well.
All right, thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll start taking questions for Coastal Carolina head coach Joe Moglia. Once again, press star 1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand. And, Coach, first questions for you from David Scott of the Charlotte Observer.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hi, David.
You talked about what you've seen on film. Can you tell progress that they've made from year 1 to year 2 based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Again, when you look at them defensively, they wind up making some mistakes because they're playing a lot of young guys. These guys are athletic, and they do get to the ball, and they're going to turn out to be very, very good football players. And I think they're going to certainly show significant improvement, both as the season goes on as well as kind of getting ready for next year. From an offensive perspective, they were good a year ago. They are better than what they were a year ago. From a special teams perspective, they were good and solid a year ago. They're better this year. So I certainly have seen improvement from one year to the next, and I would think the Charlotte community should be proud of that.
One other quick thing. If Matt Johnson, the quarterback, does not play, what kind of effect do you think that has?
Well, I think what it should do for them, number one, they had 2 weeks to get the other guy ready. Number two, I think their backup is the same backup that they've had over the span of the last couple of years. So he's gotten a lot of work, especially in practice, as their number two. They've had 2 weeks to get him ready for our game. So I have no doubt, frankly, they're going to be ready to go. A lot of times when you lose your quarterback, what you get from the rest of the guys is a rallying cry. You know, we got to step up. We got to do a little bit better. More is expected of the other guys. And if Johnson's not ready to go, I'm sure that's going to be their attitude.
What kind of problems does Austin Duke, the receiver, present to you?
He's fast and he's got good hands. So the combination of that, and now he's an experienced player that runs very, very good routes. So he runs routes well. My guess is he has a reasonable understanding of the coverage. He catches the ball when it gets to him, and he's got really good speed, and he's got good hands. So that type of guy is always going to be a problem, and if you're not there when the ball's there, he's always a threat to go all the way. So you got to know. But if you overplay him, like I said a minute ago, David, they've got a number of good receivers. If you overplay him, then they could just as easily get the ball to somebody else that can hurt you. So they have some weapons they can hurt you with, but I think Austin's the one that you got to keep an eye on.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you, David. And Coach, there's no more questions for you in the queue, so we'll go ahead and let you go. And thanks for joining us. Good luck Saturday at Charlotte.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. And that will conclude our conference call with our coaches this week. My thanks to all the coaches and media for their participation. We'll have a recording of each coach's segment available later today on BigSouthSports.com. Again, everyone, thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of the week.